Hello everybody, it's Tarun. Welcome to your fifth tutorial in the HTML course. In this tutorial, I'll start with Unit 2, which is marking up text. Uh, in this unit, I'll cover choosing the best element for your content, paragraphs and headings, three types of lists, organizing content into sections, text level elements, generic elements, div and span, and special characters. So once your content is ready to go and you have proofread it and you have added the markup to structure the document, which is HTML, head, title and body, you are ready to identify the elements in the content. This unit introduces the elements you have to choose from for marking up the text content. There probably aren't as many of them as you might think, and are really just a handful that you'll use with regularity. And that said, this unit is a big one and it covers a lot of ground. And as we begin our tour of elements, I want to reiterate how important it is to choose elements semantically. That is, in a way that most accurately describes the content's meaning. If you don't like how it looks, change it with a style sheet. A semantically marked up document ensures your content is available and accessible in the widest range of browsing environments, from desktop computers and mobile devices to assistive screen readers. It also allows non-human readers such as search engine indexing programs to correctly parse your content and make decisions about the relative importance of elements on the page. So with these principles in mind, it is time to meet the HTML text elements, starting with the most basic element of them all, the humble paragraph. Okay. And one important note before starting our HTML journey or of marking up text, I'll be teaching markup according to HTML5 standard, which are minted by W3C. As it appeared now, there is another version of HTML maintained by WG organization that is nearly the same, but it usually has some differences. So I'll be sure to point out elements and attributes that belong to only one specific. Both specs are changing frequently, so I urge you to check online to see whether elements have been added or dropped. You may have heard that all browsers do not support HTML5. That is true. But the vast majority of the elements in HTML5 have been around for decades in earlier HTML versions. So they are supported universally. Elements that are new in HTML5 and may not be well supported will be indicated in this course. I'll indicate them separately. So unless I explicitly point out a support issue, you can assume the markup descriptions and examples presented here will work in all browsers. Okay. So let's start with our first element, which is the paragraph element. As I've told you earlier, the paragraph element goes like this: P, okay, where P stands for paragraph. And paragraphs are the most rudimentary elements of a text document. You indicate a paragraph with a P element by inserting an opening tag P at the beginning of the paragraph and a closing /P tag after it, as I've shown you in the example. Visual browsers nearly always display paragraphs on new lines with a bit of space between them by default. So to use a term from CSS, you can say that they are displayed as a block. As I told you earlier that every heading or anything which we show in our browser in different text, it is treated as different blocks. Paragraphs can contain text, images and other inline elements called phrasing content in the spec, but they may not contain headings, list, sectioning elements or any element that typically displays as a block by default. In HTML, it is okay to omit the closing P tag. A browser just assumes that it is closed when it encounters the next block element. However, in the XHTML syntax, the closing tag is required. Many web developers, including me, prefer to close paragraphs and all elements, even in HTML. This is because, for the sake of consistency and clarity, and I recommend those of you who are learning HTML to do the same. Okay. Uh, Now let's see the next element, which is heading element. In the last chapter, we used H1 and H2 elements to indicate headings for the home page. There are actually 6 levels of heading from H1 to H6. When you add headings to content, the browser uses them to create a document outline for the page. Assistive reading devices such as screen readers use the document outline to help users quickly scan and navigate through a page. In addition, search engines look at heading levels as part of their algorithms. Uh, for these reasons, it's a better practice to start with level 1 heading, which is H1, and work down in numerical order, creating a logical document structure and outline. So, as I told you earlier, this was our 2 headings, H1 and H2. You should use them in the proper order only, starting from H1, then going towards H6 only. Okay, so I have shown you example of 2 headings. You can go ahead and use the remaining headings by yourself and see how do they look like. Okay. Now let's see the next element, which is heading groups. It is common for headlines to have clarifying subheadings or taglines. So taking an example, just wait, let me show you. Like this, okay, where this element creating a simple page is written inside H1, okay, and this HTML overview is written over inside H2. So just let me show you. Okay, so let me save it and show it to you what it changes in our browser. So here you can see that it has created something like this. Okay, and here the first line, creating a simple page, is clearly an H1, but if you make the second line in H2, you may introduce an unintended new level of to the document or outline. The best you could do was to mark it as a paragraph, but that didn't exactly make semantic sense. For this reason, HTML includes hgroup element for identifying a stack of headings as a group. Browsers that support hgroups know to count only the highest ranking heading in the outline and ignore the rest. Here is how hgroup element can be used to mark up the title, which I have shown you. In the hgroup element, I'll write these H1 and H2 headings. So inside the hgroup, okay, just let's save it and see what happens to our browser. Okay, you can see that nothing happens. This is because some browsers support HTML5 and some do not support. So I suppose that this is happening because of it only. Okay, or just let me see anything else can I do about this. No, it is only because the browser does not support it. Okay, so you can check it in other browsers also, whether it is supported or not. Okay, so the next topic which we are going to understand in this tutorial is list. Humans are natural list makers, and HTML provides element for making up 3 types of lists. First one is unordered list, which is collection of items that appear in no particular order. Second one is ordered list, list in which the sequence of the items is important. And the third one is description list, list that consists of name and value pairs, including but not limited to terms and definitions. All list elements, the list elements and the items that go in them are displayed as block elements by default, which means that they start on a new line and have some space above and below. And it can be altered with CSS. In this section now, we'll look at each list type in detail. So first one is unordered list. Just about any list of examples, names, components, thoughts or options qualifies as unordered list. In fact, most lists fall into this category. By default, unordered list display with a bullet before each list item, but you can change that with a style sheet, as you will see in a moment. Okay. To identify an unordered list, we mark it up as UL element. Okay. So let me show you. We are here inside our body. Okay, and it goes like this, UL, and it is not an empty tag, so it requires closing. Okay, now we'll write inside these tags, and then each item in the list get marked up as a list item LI. Okay, so this is the way to create a list. Okay, inside list, let me type something, that HTML CSS JavaScript. Okay, these are three items which I have put in the list. So now let me save it and show it to you what happens. So you can see that your unordered list has been created. Okay, and by default the bullets are added automatically by the browser. But here's the cool part which is there with the unordered list. We can take the same unordered list markup and radically change its appearance by applying different style sheets. As I am going to show you now, I have turned off bullets. I'll turn off bullets and added bullets of my own. Made up the items line up horizontally, even made them look graphical buttons. Okay, so just let me show you how to do it. Just wait. Here I'll not be teaching you about how to do this styling. You will learn about it, the styling in the CSS course only. But I'll show you that how is it working. Okay. Originally our list was like this, and after styling I added horizontal lines inside the list. Then I made the list horizontal only, and after that I made the list elements look like buttons. So this was all I was talking about. Okay, moving forward to the next topic, which is ordered lists. Ordered lists are for items that occur in a particular order, such as step-by-step instructions or driving directions. They work just like the unordered list described earlier, except they are defined with the OL element. Okay, so if I use OL instead of UL here. Okay, earlier UL stand for unordered list. Now OL stand for ordered list. Instead of bullets, the browser automatically insert number before the ordered list items, so you do not need to number them in the source document. This makes it easy to rearrange list items without renumbering them. Okay, so just let me show you. Save. So here you can see that the list has now been numbered in our browser. Okay, And if you want to start a numbered list other than one, you can use the start attribute in the OL element to specify another starting number as shown here. Okay, so let's say I want to start my list with the number 15. So I'll use start as my attribute, and start equals to, then in double quotes. Why I am using double quotes? Because it is the standard convention. You can use single quotes also. So if I save it, now let's see the change in our browser. You can see that the list starts from 15 now. So this was all about the ordered list. The next topic is description list. Description lists are used for any type of name value pairs such as terms and their definitions, questions and answers, or other types of terms and their associated information. Their structure is a bit different from the other two lists that we discussed. The whole description list is marked up as DL element. The content of a DL element is some number of DT elements. Okay, so first of all, I'll make this DL and I'll remove this start attribute. Okay, and it consists of two elements inside the DL, because we are describing one thing with another, or we are taking name value pairs. So instead of li we'll use dt to elements that indicate the names, and dd for elements for their respective values. So if I use dt here, okay, then I need to add a description. Okay, so let me make it, I'll make one more element in our list. Okay, so now if I save it and let's see a change in our browser, you can see that the list goes like this. And this one is our name, and this one is our value. Okay, you can understand it by this manner, name value pair. The DL element is allowed only to contain DT and DD elements. It is okay to have multiple definitions with one term and vice versa. You cannot put headings or content grouping elements like paragraphs in names DT, but the value DD can contain any type of flow content. So one more thing is there in this unit, which is more content elements, and which I will start in the next tutorial. So thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next tutorial.